Every week we follow the boys in Claret Blue. We conquered all of Europe in 1982. Villa boys from Aston, we travel near and far. You'll hear us singing from stand to Villa bar. Claret and Blue, Claret and Blue.
I listened to your podcast earlier actually while I was at work, so I thought I'll give it a listen because I listen to it regularly anyway. So I heard Paddy's going to the game on Sunday.
He is, yeah. He's actually literally he just had to text me there. He's what day is today? Today's Friday. He must be in Manchester already. I think he might even be in Manchester even already. He's after texting me a picture of a pint anyway, and it doesn't look like it's. Yeah, I think he's actually in Manchester as it is.
Yeah, because didn't he say he was hoping to go to the Wrexham game, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, I half listened to Paddy. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking. Yeah, he was looking to go to the Wrexham game, all right. But he hasn't been able to get tickets for it. It's a sellout, so he was looking to tip on over to it. But I think he's just going to take in the sights and sounds of Manchester for the day tomorrow instead.
Yeah. Wow, that should be good anyway.
Yeah. He'll always find something to do anyway. There's no fear of him.
So we'll get started then. So first of all, how did you feel about the transfer window? For me personally, I did say this last week. I thought it was fine. To be fair, it would have been nice one more player attacking option, but other than that, it was good to put the players out who weren't playing anyway. So
yeah, look, I suppose there's the initial thought for me was that we needed another. Actually, I thought we needed another striker, and I thought it'd be nice to bring in another centre half. I was one of the few people I think that was on the bandwagon of wanting to have maybe another centre half in. I'm like Cam Chambers isn't going to be here come the 1st of August next year. And I was kind of thinking to myself with Diego Carlos coming back and if the potential was there to purchase somebody, I thought it might come up. And I know that might be a bit of a shock to people to hear me kind of like dismissive of Callum Chambers, but just don't think he fits. Just don't think he fits in this in with the new guy, and nothing to do with his Arsenal credentials or anything like that. I just don't think he fits his style of play. I think I like he's not he's every time I've seen him play, whether it be in a preseason or whether it be in a cup games, he's just look kind of one paced and doesn't look like he's ever played that high line. So I thought he might be somebody that might get shipped out, but yeah, striker is definitely somebody I thought that would come in as well. But like yourself, I'm happy enough with what we have. I've long held the belief that we played by the rules with regards to financial fair play. And I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent with this one, but I've said it before that Purslow has spoken about financial fair play. And when we see what's happened to Man City recently, it kind of is a bit of a kick in the backside that we did it, and Man City could potentially get away with it after doing it after financially doping, if you want to call it, for 12 years. But I firmly believe the more I look into it that, and I'm not a mathematician, I'm not an accountant or anything like that, but there are a lot more smarter people out there than me with regards to this stuff, and they seem to believe that Aston Villa have been playing. They played this season and to a lesser degree the transfer window in the summer beautifully with regards to being able to have a big splurge. And I actually spoke to somebody today who was convinced that they always knew they were getting rid of Gerrard mid-season, and that they were looking to sign their manager this season. They'd be able to give him a war chest, but however true that is, I don't know. So yeah, I think the transfer window, like you said yourself, it would be nice to have a couple of players in. I think we're short in a couple of areas, but Unai Emery is somebody that can get the best out of these players, and as long as we don't have too many more Leicester Cities between now and the end of the season, I think we'll do just fine.
yeah, good job you mentioned that. We might as well do the Leicester review firstly then before we speak about the next game on Sunday. What did you think of the Leicester game? Obviously we lost, but
Yeah,
like for Villa? Who stood out for you? Like for me, it was Buendia. I thought he was class. But what about you?
yeah. I think I suppose the overarching feeling in the Leicester game was kind of it was kind of points dropped, and because we would have expected to get something from that game, no doubt. Um, and it was kind of it was a shocking loss in the way that it transpired. The defense had to concede 4 goals that were all pretty similar in lots of ways. They were very simple. They were just either long balls or they were balls down the channels in between the two defender, in between defender and sorry, in between centre half and fullback. And Premier League level, you might get caught out once with that, but get caught out 4 times, and that for me was a bit was a bit naive. Um, but yeah, like you said, Wendy I thought stood out. I thought in parts Douglas Luiz played well, and when Coutinho came on, I thought Coutinho got about the field an awful lot more than he has, probably in the last 12 months. So if you're looking at positives, Ollie Watkins' first half I thought was really good too. So a lot of the positives would be in the attacking area, albeit we didn't score enough goals. And I think there will be a bit of a backlash against Man City from a defensive point of view, and I don't expect us to go out with anywhere near the cavalier attitude as we did with regards to the way our back four set up. So yeah, I'd say there was positives to take away from that Leicester game, but it was a freakish result in a lot of ways. And as I say, I hope we don't have too many of those between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, it was surprising as well because obviously Kamara's been very consistent since he joined and he's been really good for us. But obviously that was like a bit of a bad game for him. But having one bad game in how many he's had, you can't really complain, really.
Yeah, well, you can always complain. You can
Yeah.
always complain, but as I say, it's put it this way, it's not worrying. The game he had there wouldn't worry me because yeah, the first goal was uncharacteristic of him. Look, I a lot of people feel that Martinez shouldn't have passed the ball to him in that situation. The more I see it, I'm probably on that bandwagon as well to say that he shouldn't have. Like if you're in doubt, you can always go wide in that instance. Like there was players spread out wide there, but like he passed it to the man who the more we look at that still shot, it looks like a trap. It looks like Leicester set up that trap that they've done their homework on Aston Villa. They like to go to that edge of the area pass, and they set a trap, and we fell into it. Um, Second goal that he was involved in, Bukayo Kamara. I'm still not sure he wasn't fouled. I'm still not sure he wasn't fouled for that. Now, we should have still been able to deal with the rest of the way the play had transpired. But Bukayo Kamara has been absolutely brilliant for us. He's been our player of the year so far. And we're going to see him against City at the weekend, and I know he's going to sit in there. And he's going to do that job, and no matter who City have playing in that, excuse me, that 10 role in behind Haaland, I know that Bubakar Kamara is going to be able to pick him up and do Trojan work around there. So not worried in the slightest about Kamara. I don't think he's been found out or anything. Just think he had two situations that one he shouldn't have put himself in, and one um he shouldn't have been in that situation for that pass from Martinez. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about him at all.
Do you think that was a Brendan Rodgers tactic was to get the Leicester City players to pressure Kamara rather than our defenders, say, because when like Mings or a Konza had the ball, they weren't pressing them so much, but when like a Kamara had the ball, they would
Um,
press on him.
it's an interesting one because look, everything Brendan Rodgers says you got to take with a pinch of salt. Because if Brendan Rodgers was made of ice cream, he'd lick himself. Like that's and that's just the kind of guy he is. Put it this way: when Gerrard was our manager, I would have loved to have Rodgers as our manager to come in at that stage. Now, obviously, we've gone and got Unai Emery, but Brendan Rodgers is like after the game, he needed a result like that. He had a bit of swagger about him, and he said, "Oh yeah, that was our tactic." And I'll be honest with you, I think when you've got the players that they've got the ability to do that. Now, did they target Kamara specifically? I think they knew he was going to be the workhorse. He was going to be the person who was going to get the ball and be that metronome at the base of midfield in that sixth position. But I think that they would have targeted anybody in midfield specifically for those short kickouts. So I do think it was a tactic, but I don't think it was specifically you got to sit on Boubacar Kamara. I think it was a case of no matter who picks up those short kickouts, Villa are going to play it out from the back. The worrying thing for me there would be if they said, okay, we don't need the pressure like the likes of Mings or Kanza because they're going to make a mistake anyway. I don't believe that, but I think that other teams, I think a team like Leicester or Brendan Rodgers' team might have gambled with something like that. And look, they came up trumps with scoring 4 goals because our defenders did make mistakes and they made enough mistakes to contribute to our downfall. So if it was a tactic from him, then fair play because it really worked out.
Yeah, what did you think of the subs Emery made? Because obviously at half time he took, was it 3 off?
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was two off. So he took
2.
off
Dean,
Jacob
he
Ramsey
took
and
Dean off. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Um,
2. Um, yeah, what did you think of those subs? Because I do like the look of Alex Mourinho so far. I quite like him. He brings something different on that side of the pitch.
yeah. I wouldn't be too surprised to see the two of them, Marino and Moreno even and Dina line up together against Man City. But look, they would have been the two players I would have taken off. Actually, I definitely would have taken off Luka Dean because for all the talk we just had there about Boubacar Kamara and Emi Martinez, I think Luka Dean was at fault for 2 goals as well. I think his communication was absolutely horrendous. I don't think he got his head up in either of the two situations whereby he let people go past him. One for the Iheanacho goal and the other one actually for when Boubacar Kamara gave away the ball or the second instance where I thought that he was fouled. Yeah, I don't think he covered himself in glory with those two as well. And look, it's something that his defending has been suspect, but he's been really good going forward. So if you could if you could match that mix of himself and Marino, there on that left hand side, and allow one of them to go forward, but always have that kind of a buffer of somebody that's able to go back and defend. I think that would be something because we can't afford, like we saw it under Steven Gerrard, we can't afford to have our fullbacks so far up the field, and we need them to defend. We need them to turn on their heads, I suppose, more so than anything else in defence. Track runners because our two centre halves aren't very good at tracking runners either, and they haven't really been that good at doing it since we've come back into the Premier League. Going back to the first year when Dino was there, and we just about stayed up, should I say? We haven't been really great at tracking runners, save for the start of the 20, what was it, 2020 2021 season, when we went on that great run. So uh, it's I think the substitutions were the correct ones to make, and I think that Unai Emery can feel vindicated by those substitutions for the simple fact that when we went out in the second half, we made loads of chances, albeit we didn't score them. We were all over Leicester, and then of course that fourth goal kills off the game. And we were lucky as well because Coutinho comes on, puts one in the back of the net. Now it was offside, and it was a bit of a silly offside, but it still was offside. But we get the 3-3 there in that instance. I actually think we go on and win the game, but hot in the heels of that goal being disallowed, Leicester go down and Dennis Pratt puts it in the back of the net, and you're not going back from 4-2 down. So it was just a game of, I suppose, one team took their chances, and we certainly didn't take ours.
Yeah, I think like he was right to take Ashley Young off as well because he was obviously getting a bit fouled quite a bit, and I think he was a bit in a bit of pain, weren't he? So
Yeah, he was
I
definitely
think,
injured, yeah, but it's a good thing that he's going to be all right for the weekend because, you know, age aside, he's been one of our better performers this season for sure.
yeah, he's definitely been consistent. He's been top class. He probably deserves another year extension if he gets one.
Yeah,
Because so
I wouldn't be. Yeah, I think they'll offer it to him. Um, but I don't think he's going to be our starting right back come the 1st of August next season either. I expect that whole back four to have, or not the whole back four. I expect at least three of that back four to to be under serious pressure come the start of next season, because it's one of the areas of our team that has become very stagnant since we've come to the Premier League, and I fully expect that's where we will do an awful lot of work in the off season, along with bringing in another striker up top. So, but I would obviously you offer him a deal. Maybe he comes in. Maybe it's I don't know. I don't know. I won't even speculate. But I would definitely offer him a deal today, and see if he can continue to keep up his good form for sure.
Do you think Matty Cash's days might be numbered?
I don't know. It's interesting. When I was who was it I was speaking to? Was it I can't remember who it was I was speaking to. I think it might have been it was either Ty Bracy or Dan Bardell. Whoever one of them said anyway that Matty Cash got a good chewing from Unai Emery, and Unai Emery was not happy with Matty Cash when he came on with his positioning. So I think there's those little details as well that might catch Matty Cash, but like he's still a really good footballer, and I think what we're seeing at the moment is that Emery is looking to get results regardless of who he has in the team, and he's going to play those guys where he thinks can be maybe positionally and tactically disciplined. Now I like Matty Cash, but if Matty Cash can't beat out 37-year-old, soon to be 38-year-old Ashley Young, well, then maybe there is a conversation to be had about Matty Cash in the summer. But for now, as I say, like I've no problem. I'm not somebody who's going to pop him on the bus and ship him out of Aston Villa. Why would I? He's absolutely brilliant for us, and he's really good going forward. I think he can regain his form, because I think that there's a couple of players you see it throughout the Premier League. There's a couple of players who went to the World Cup and are just maybe struggling to get back into the swing of things since they've come back as well. And potentially you could put put that at Matty Cash's door as well. But delighted that he's an Aston Villa player. I don't think that he goes anywhere in the summer anyway. But unless there's a big offer come in, I know there's talks that Chelsea were really interested in him at some stage during the last transfer window. But as I say, I think Aston Villa are in the position where it would take money to get rid of any of their starting 11, or even any of their first choice 14, if you want to put it that way. So I think either way, we'll either be well compensated for him if he does move on. But I think that he's the type of player that can learn, because if we remember, he has played centre midfield for Forest before. He's played right wing before. He's moved back to playing at right back. So he's shown that he can learn new positions. And I'm sure that with time under Unai Emery, we'll see him tighten up those little pieces that maybe Emery might have been a bit annoyed about. But yeah, I don't see him being in danger for. Mightn't get back into the team in the near future, but I think they can certainly up his game and learn from Unai Emery and fit into his plans for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned Coutinho earlier. You thought like he had a good game when he came on. He definitely trying. I give him that. He's definitely putting in the work. He's definitely giving the energy. But there was some when I was watching it, there was something that came in my mind when he was taking some of his shots, and when there was going sky over, and I was thinking, you might remember a player called Tonev,
Yes,
if that's how you pronounce it.
yeah.
And that name came in my head when he skied a couple of those chances, and I was just thinking like, I hope he can. To be honest, I think it's sort of like it might be make or break for Coutinho.
Um, I actually, yeah. Again, I feel like you keep on saying it, and I feel like I'm selling off half the squad, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Um, but I think once again, like there's no smoke without fire when you look at the Corinthians rumours for him in the last transfer window. There's still even rumours about Galatasaray coming in to sign him. The MLS is always going to be very going to be able to compensate him and pay him maybe the money that he wants. So I think we won't have any shortage of people who want Philippe Coutinho in the summer if it does come to that. But this game against Leicester, I think he did show an awful lot of promise. You know, he was very busy. He got around the field a bit more. He got into more dangerous positions, and that goal, the finish for the goal, I thought was really good. And what I liked about it was Unai Emery name checked him in his press conference today, and he said that he's doing all the things that he wants him to do, and that begin to get a spark on the training field, then Unai Emery's going to need to unlock him. He's really going to need to unlock him because we've only got, what is it, 21 outfield players, 20 outfield players to go from now between now and at the end of the season. So he's going to need to keep all those players sweet, like the Matty Cashes, like we spoke about previously, the Philippe Coutinho's, and be able to work it in such a way whereby you're going to have Digne in some weeks, you're going to have Alex Moreno in some weeks, and you're going to have some weeks where you're going to play the two of them. So I don't think that there's any kind of special case for Philippe Coutinho, but if he starts to contribute, I think he's only had one goal contribution in like 32 or 33 games. So that's something that he's gonna obviously have to start doing because that's the type of player he is. He's not going to be somebody who's going to put in a cruncher of a tackle to get the crowd off their seats. So if he doesn't start contributing in games, then he's going to become an issue. And I think that's why a lot of Aston Villa fans are, that along with his wages, I think is why a lot of Aston Villa fans are kind of questioning him at the moment, and rightly so. But I think that Unai Emery sees something obviously that he can find a position for him, even if it is that impact sub for the last half hour, for the last 20 minutes. And as I say, if he starts to turn games around like he did when he first came into the club, well then all the better for Aston Villa. He's a type of player that when he's on his game, you definitely want to be playing with him as opposed to be playing against him. It's just about can Unai Emery get him back up to speed over the next 17 games and get him into that groove again. And as I say, I wouldn't put anything past Unai Emery because he's such a good manager that he could certainly do that for sure.
Do you think the bleach blonde hair will help?
Who? Coutinho? Did Coutinho bleach his hair?
Yeah, did you not see? He's got like blonde highlights on the top.
No, didn't see it. I would have been really surprised if Unai Emery had bleached his hair. Actually, I don't know why that would be
Imagine
hilarious.
if he bleached his hair. That would be funny.
Unai Emery, like Mr. Perfect on the sideline with bleached blonde hair. That'd be something. That'd be something. All right. No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, when he came on against Leicester, I noticed Coutinho had he dyed his hair. I think.
Hey, I hadn't noticed that at all. No, go full bleach the whole out of it, style, blonde.
Yeah.
Try something different, Philippe.
Maybe that's what he's trying.
It worked for Jack Grealish, and Jack Grealish started to lighten his hair as well. Didn't he get his England call up? So maybe it might work for Coutinho. He might get sparkle back in his boots.
Yeah, that might be the ingredient he needs. So we might as well speak about Sunday's game. And before we say about the game, Unai Emery, because I listened to other podcasts, this is a stat I heard. I think I heard it on the Villa View, maybe. It might have been AVFC Stato.
Yeah,
stat.
That was great.
Yeah. Unai has faced Pep 12 times, lost 8 and drew 4. Is that right? Is that the one you heard? Did you hear the same?
Yeah, it's something similar to that. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I'd take a draw at the weekend. Well, obviously, I think everybody that's listening would take a draw on Sunday for sure. And I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that we take a draw at the weekend because two good tacticians, and they'll be pretty familiar with each other. So yeah, we can have.
Yeah, I think to unlock Man City, obviously they like to have the ball all the time. The best thing for Villa to do is counter attack, isn't it? I would say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My mind would actually fall out the side of my head if Leon Bailey didn't start the game at the weekend.
I had an idea, but I don't know what you think about this. But the lineup, I'm with Leon Bailey. Obviously, for a counter attacking a football and his speed, he's probably what you want. But at the same time, there's like in the Leicester game, he sort of disappears in games sometimes, which is it's one of those things, I suppose. But I was thinking, what if Ollie went on that side and Duran went in the centre? What do you think about that?
No, I think I don't think there's a chance in hell that he starts Duran at the weekend. I think if he is going to change it up, that he maybe plays that John McGinn comes back into the team and maybe he goes with that midfield that he had last. The maybe Bailey drops out altogether, and Buendia starts up top with Ollie Watkins. Starts further forward with Ollie Watkins. You've Jacob Ramsey, you have Douglas Luiz, you've Boubacar Kamara, and you've John McGinn. Because that was the midfield four he started with when McGinn was fit, and when Jacob Ramsey was fit as well prior to the World Cup break, and we were stout with that midfield. And if we get to a situation whereby we have to come back and play that six at the back situation again. I think I feel confident in that, in having those four there. Maybe Jacob Ramsey drops out. Maybe he wasn't convinced with him after his game the last day, taking him off at half time. And maybe he plays Moreno on that left hand side. But I think I think he's going to have speed up top. And I know I said that I think Leon Bailey is going to start, and I do think Leon Bailey is going to start at the weekend. I think he's going to start up top with Ollie Watkins. If there was a change, I think if you were to put maybe a Buendia up there, you're still not going to lose out on that counter attacking ability because Buendia can obviously get around the field quickly. He's a quick passer of the ball and he's all action as well. So if you did really have to go to a backs against the wall situation, Buendia wouldn't have a problem in coming back and doing a shift, chasing people around. Whereas we know that Leon Bailey, that's not his strength, and he gets frustrated when he has to do it. So it all depends on what Unai Emery's mindset is, and it very easily could be go out and park the bus like we did against Spurs. And if that is the case, it'll be interesting to see who he starts with. But I still think he's going to play with Bailey, just playing off Ollie Watkins, and that we're going to play on that counter attack, like you mentioned, and see if we can get an early goal and hold on to it, kind of like we did at Spurs, or get the first goal, should I say, and hold on to it like we did at Spurs, or maybe get an early goal like we did against Leeds, and then soak up the pressure and try and catch them on the break again. But dangerous business to do that against Man City, for sure. But as I say, it's going to be interesting on Sunday, and we will see.
Yeah, in fairness, like you said, I do agree that McGinn will probably come into the team because he brings that energy, doesn't he? And he should be fit and ready to go, I would imagine. And with regards to the other positions you said, yeah, I'd agree with that as well. To be fair, I could see it, but the good thing about Unai is he's not too predictable. You think he is. Like, there's been times where the lineup, you think, oh, he's going to play the same team. But, like, look at last week when he brought Dean back into the team. How many people expected that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, and with that, as I say, he has those interesting decisions to make again at the weekend. Um, it doesn't bode well for. Sorry, not that it doesn't bode well. Sorry, I'm looking at something completely different here, and I had a different thought. But to me, I think that the game planning that we go into this weekend will be really interesting. It's one of the team sheets I'm looking forward to the most. Maybe there'll be no surprises, but as I say, he's shown, as you said there, that he can spring a surprise with the likes of Luca Dean coming back into the squad, or even with the likes of trying to convert Leon Bailey into a striker. I don't think a lot of people had that in their bingo card when Unai Emery first came in either. So we do trust in him, and I think that John McGinn will play for that very reason that you said with regards to the energy, and it's going to be really interesting to see at the weekend.
I'm looking forward to seeing Traore in that position, to be honest. I don't know
Yeah,
what you think about that.
well, it'll definitely be from the bench. I don't think he starts him at the weekend for sure. But
No, he won't start, but it's just like, it's one of those where I think, like, when he was on it, he was on it. Some of those finishes he did is just top class. It's just like you remember the one where, who was it against, where he literally passed it into the net from, like, where anyone else would have blasted it or whatever. He just passed it into the net. It was so, like,
yeah, he can do the sublime. He can do the ridiculous. With him, he's going to frustrate fans like this. And that's obvious. I'm talking to the converted there with that. Everybody who's listening to this has seen Bertrand Traore play no look pass on his from one sideline over to the other sideline, right in the middle of the field. We're trying to get a counter attack going. He does the unpredictable, but maybe that's what this team needs. Naimri had the unpredictable person in Danjuma when he was at Villarreal. He had unpredictability when they were going forward, and if he is going to play with that six at the back situation and play on the counter attack, having somebody like that can maybe when you lull a team forward or you get teams further forward, you have somebody like a Bertrand Traore up there that could attempt to try and score from a back heel from 40 yards and it comes off, something mental on the field. Maybe that can be something that can win you a couple of points throughout the course of the season, but that will only work. That type of gambler, that type of maverick will only work if your six at the back are rock solid. And they've been a bit inconsistent. There's been some games like, as we said, Leeds pretty good, Spurs really good, Man United really good. Those games they've been rock solid. But then you look at Liverpool were caught, and then they were caught in very similar circumstances against Leicester as well. So there is a bit of unpredictability in the back four when we do play a straight back four. There's a bit of unpredictability there. You don't want unpredictability in your defence. It's okay having it in your strikers, but you certainly don't want it in your defence. But Bertrand Traore will contribute. He contribute probably in one or two different positions. He'll maybe go wide in some instances. I think he'll go up top in more instances than not. And as you say, I am looking forward to him coming back and seeing if he can work his way back into this team because look, it's no secret that Steven Gerrard fell out with a lot of players, and I think Bertrand Troy was just one of these people that probably looked at him and looked at Gerrard and went, "I'm not getting in here. Get me out of here as quick as possible." And look, I'm okay with a lot of players doing that because it's their careers at the end of the day, and if they want to play football, it, they need to do what's best for them, because they can sit in their big contracts if they want. But for sometimes you gotta put your hands up and say fair play to somebody who looks to go out alone or who doesn't want to sit and be part of a bomb squad and just eat up the resources of a club. And it looked like Bertrand Traore wasn't prepared to do that. He was prepared to go to Turkey, get some games under his belt, and if needed, then move on. But he's gotten this 6 month reprieve to come back under Unai Emery, and I think that he knows that obviously there is no bigger shop window in the Premier League. So if he still wants to leave in the summer, well then put in a good 6 months here now under Unai Emery, one of the top managers in European football, and you will have a pick of clubs. You can go back to France, wherever. You will have a pick of clubs after that if he puts in a good 6 months.
Yeah, because with Traore, he can play up front. When he was at loan to Istanbul, he was playing up front for them. So he's always an option if you needed someone to go up front to help Ollie out. So bringing him back was a very good idea from Unai. I think there was no point getting another player when we already had him, and why waste him when he's our player? We paid for him, so you might as well use him.
Yeah, look, it's as I say, if it was, and that once again, here goes to fuel my story about Aston Villa playing by the financial fair play rules, whether rightly or wrongly, they did, and they probably looked at it and they said, right on transfer deadline day, I genuinely do believe they were looking at people from to come in that winger position or that winger hybrid striker position, and they just weren't able to do a deal that suited them. And then they said, all right, if we're not going to spend money, we do need a body in. So let's bring back Bertrand Traore, somebody that he said he scouted when he was at Lyon, to come and play for Villarreal, but he chose to come to Aston Villa instead. So if he does like him, if that is true, and he had a soft spot for him previously, and he feels he can get the best of him, well, then not bring him back in and not waste money in maybe a 6 month loan or buy somebody who had an inflated price. And look, I'd go back to it and I'd say I would have loved for them to bring in an extra striker or an extra winger or an extra attacking player. Don't get me wrong, but it all depends. Is like I'm coming at this from the side of if Villa had a plan to save their money or save their cash for the summer, well then this would be evidence of it for me. I'm not saying I agree with it, I'm not or anything like that, but it would be more evidence of it for me because, as I say, with regards to financial fair play and stuff like that, there was some people, as I say, that know more about it than I do. We're talking about the amount of of the debt that Aston Villa have racked up in the first two seasons they were back in the Premier League, the debt to income ratio prior to COVID, and that will all drop off their balance sheet with regards to financial fair play now, so that will give them a lot more breathing space, were they to bring in players in the summer. It might be a small bit better. So that would drop off as like the 31st of May. So bringing back somebody like a Bertrand Traore allows you to, basically keep your balance sheet stable while bringing another body back into the room. And while it's not ideal and it's not the sexy thing to do, I suppose when everybody's going away and splurging cash like they did during this transfer window, um, maybe it's synonymous with the long game that Aston Villa are going to play. But all will be told, I suppose, in time to come.
What do you think of Man City at the moment? Because they've been a bit they ain't been great, have they, recently? So what have you thought of them, like with Kevin De Bruyne being on the bench and Jack Grealish having a good season for them at the moment? What have you made of them recently?
City will always be fine. City will probably still go on and win the league. I know they're 5 points behind Arsenal. They've played a game more than Arsenal, but 17 games left in this league. City will be absolutely fine. Um, it's not like they've had a massive capitulation. Yes, they've lost games that they probably shouldn't have lost, but they definitely shouldn't have lost this season. But City are still capable of going out and beating us 6-7-0 at the weekend. And while I don't think that's going to be the case, they have some of the best talent in the world. So, and they have arguably the best manager in the world currently managing. So I think people and it's fair to say that some people have been kind of writing City's obituary with regards to the fact that, the financial fair play piece that they may or may not get pinged for, um, that might be another nail in the coffin for them. But no, City are going to be a class outfit for the rest of the season. They're going to pick up points that nobody expected them to pick up over the course of this year. And Arsenal are going to drop points. They haven't gone through their sticky patch yet. So I don't buy into the Man City are not playing well this season. They're not playing as well as they did in previous years, but they're still playing at a really, really high level. And they still have a massive squad. Like Mahrez has come back in. He wasn't starting games at the start of the season. Phil Foden has been injured. He's now back. I think they're a team that were in transition and trying to play again a new number nine and a more static number nine than they're used to. You take Sterling out of that team who was moving left and right. Prior to that, they had Aguero up front, moving left and right. They had Gabriel Jesus who used to move left and right. Now they've got Erling Haaland who stays central. So there's a bit of acclimatization to that as well. Not getting in his way, giving him space to score goals. And what that's going to do is it's going to mean the players are going to have to curtail themselves in making certain runs because they don't want to draw players into Harry's orbit so that they just want to get the ball to him as opposed to run across his line and so on. So I think that's more what the situation has been with Man City than anything else, and they'll hit their form and I just hope it isn't on Sunday. Actually, I know it won't be on Sunday because I know the Luna Emery will have a plan.
Yeah, you definitely have a plan. I'm not. I'm. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game.
Me too.
The last couple of times we've played them, we've put in a good performance against them. So under Unai, I think we'll be even better. Hopefully. Um, the thing, obviously, that we need to be is probably a bit more because we have been really solid, other than the Leicester game. So if we can stay solid, and just do you think we should be patient when pressing, or do you think we should be on them at all times, sort of thing?
Hard to know. Hard to know. It depends on how they set up as well. Like a lot of their play revolves around where Rodri is in the field at any given period of time because he's so pivotal to how they play now. Not having a Fernandinho in there, not having another true central defensive midfielder in there. Rodri is almost undroppable for them at the minute. And the reason I'm bringing up Rodri is I think that we will have people snapping at his feet Just like we spoke about Leicester snapping at Kamara previously, I think we'll have people. I think Ollie Watkins will more or less be tasked to work between Rodri and between Kanje. I think if Kanje starts at centre half beside Laporte, I think they'll try and isolate a Kanje and maybe try and play between the two of them. Um, Maybe if Buendia starts as well, he could be somebody that could be tasked with being a nuisance to Rodri too, because the quicker you can get on a player like that, he has so many touches of the ball for Man City. You know, if you can stifle their attack further back the field before it gets up to their star-studded front four, and a resurgent Jack Grealish, as you said, I think that's really where we're going to need to have a real lightning fast press. Um, I think I think that we will probably it's going to be difficult because we're going to play six at the back. We're going to defend our box more so than that, and we're going to expect them to shoot from far out. It's what I think that they will do. And I think we're going to be disciplined in defence more so than diving in and pressing high up the field, or more so, or sorry, not pressing out the field, but more so having a fast press on those on that um forward three to play with just behind Haaland. I think they'll be more focused on trying to nip into a Rodri or maybe catch Nathan Ake at left back if he does try and come forward. I think they'll be more interested in trying to pick off those players more so than they would try to go for a Kevin De Bruyne or a Grealish or maybe a Foden if he starts.
Yeah, well, Mings had Haaland in his pocket last time, so hopefully he
Fingers
can do
crossed.
the same again. It was good. It was good as well. They had a bit of banter between each other,
Yeah,
like the last time they played because he's a big lad, any Haaland, a big,
yeah.
strong lad. He's quick, and Mings did really well against him. So hopefully, I can. That's obviously going to be. They're going to be against each other again, aren't they? So hopefully, Mings can do another good job against him.
And maybe, we've seen it before that when Mings has concentrated on doing a job, he's better at that. I know Leicester play really natural top, but he spent an awful lot of his time covered across the back four, if that makes sense, because we only played four at the back. But I think if we had this situation whereby we drop somebody back in there and play five and at times play six at the back, I have no problem saying it to people, on other podcasts as well. Watch out for Villa playing six at the back. I don't feel embarrassed by it one bit. If we get a point away at the Etihad playing six at the back and Mings is able to keep Erling Haaland quiet, well then absolutely brilliant. On to the next game. Points dropped for Man City, points gained for Aston Villa. What's not to like?
Yeah, I I just thought of another thing I had. Was it Man City haven't lost two in a row for so long? I can't
2018
remember.
playing those games after they've lost. So yeah, they haven't lost two in a row since December 2018. And when they've lost a game, the next game they've played after they've lost, they've won all those games on an aggregate of 67 goals to 9 goals. So they like to go out and make a statement after they've lost. But look, like everything else, all streaks are there to be broken. So hopefully Aston Villa can do that the weekend.
In all fairness, though, Unai's sort of done the same. If you
Yeah,
think like, obviously we beat Man United, then we lost to Man United, then we beat the game after that we won, didn't we? And then it's sort of like so
yeah,
where
it's
before we might have been a bit down in the dumps. I feel like when we lose, well, we haven't lost very often. That was only what our second defeat, isn't it, since he came? So
second in the league. Yeah,
so yeah, I just think like since
lovely.
he's came and he's added a bit of confidence to the team, and I don't think they're so down now. They're sort of he knows the plan, and I don't think they'll be very. I don't think I won't be worried anyway. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Like he's broken the hoodoo against Manchester United. Obviously, Villa never beat United. He comes in his first game, they win 3-1. Beating Spurs is something Villa found difficult to do in the last 10 years or so. Winning in the third shirt is something Villa found difficult to do. He's done that too. So who's to say he doesn't go out and break this streak? And wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to come away unbeaten from a season against Manchester City for once as well? Because we don't have the greatest record against Man City. I think it's 2007 or something like that since we last beat them. So it'd be nice to come away from a season unbeaten against Man City, even if we do only get a draw at the weekend.
Yeah, I seen the Villa on Twitter. They shared the Wayman goal. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That throwback
that
goal.
celebration is that picture, that celebration. How do you say it? It's one of those that's always one of those photos, isn't it? That's always in your memory, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, it's iconic. I think it is because you don't see goals scored like that anymore. Long ball up, flicked on, essentially, comes to Vyman, slats it in the back of the net, and it just happens so quickly there's no one near him. So we very rarely get a picture like that, an unobstructed picture like that where he's standing in front of the hole, hands out, and everybody just cheering him, and there's nobody around him. Yeah, you don't see those goals scored much anymore. And yeah, I'll take that's how you score a counter-attacking goal. So I take about 40 of
Yeah,
those at the weekend. That would be nice.
I could see Ollie Watkins doing one of them.
Does anyone problem though?
the the only
One on
thing
one,
is,
one on one.
yeah, the I don't, the thing with Ollie Watkins, he seems to score the harder ones and miss the easier ones. Does that make sense?
It does, but I think as well. Look, in all seriousness about Ollie Watkins, he's got a fantastic. Like it's it's something that we're putting together. Ollie Watkins is one of the better striking records of any striker Aston Villa have had in the Premier League. It's it's not as bad as people think about it when you look at the numbers. Yeah, you can look at games, and in some games he's like against Brentford. I think he scored against Brentford, but he had so many shots, and he couldn't convert them. And I think those kind of games stick in people's mind. I'm a big Ollie Watkins fan. I really am. Obviously, there's areas of his game he needs to improve, like one on ones. That's look, we can all sit here and say that like no player is perfect, but Ollie Watkins since Unai Emery has come in has been pretty good. You know, scored again last weekend. I think it's what 3 goals and 3 assists since Unai Emery has come in. I think that's what his record is. And I wouldn't back against him scoring again at the weekend. So I think a lot has been made of the Danny Ings going out and not being replaced. But Ollie Watkins has been playing very well under Unai Emery, and if he can get back into double figures again, he'll be one of the few strikers that Aston Villa have had that have gotten double figures 3 times in a row in the Premier League. So sometimes you can always want better, but he's while his form has been patchy, he's very valuable to this football team. We need to keep him fit between now and the end of the season for sure.
Yeah, wasn't that his I could be wrong, but wasn't that his 30th Premier League goal for Villa?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I don't know how many goals he scored for Villa, but it sounds about right to me. That he'd have 30 goals. But yeah, look, he obviously could do better. But and Unai Emery said more or less the same. Said he's happy with him so far, but there's things he can do better. So I'm happy to hear a manager say that. And try and keep him on his toes like Ollie Watkins because as I said, we need him. We just need him. It's as simple as that. He's 27 now. He's getting into the prime of his career, and yes, he is a converted winger playing forward, but playing as a forward. But he's been in England teams. He scored for England before, so this shouldn't be new to him anymore, and we should expect more of him. And I think that he can deliver the goods over the course of the rest of the season.
In all fairness, he ain't that far from Gabby there.
Well, Gabby had what 89 goals? Was it 80 something?
Yeah,
So
which when you think how many years he was at Villa, it's not that great, really.
I suppose that's right. Like Ollie Watkins scored 14 league goals his first season. I think it was 11 in his second season. Overall, he's 33 goals. So he's exactly a 1 in 3 record. I'm just looking at his stats here. Exactly a 1 in 3 record for Villa since he's joined the club. So he's 33 goals in 99 appearances. This year he's got 6 in 23 appearances. Last year he had 11 in 36, and the year before he had 16 in 40 appearances. So as I say, like he gets back into double figures again. I think that's a pretty decent season for him. Although now the fact that I'm looking at it here, he's already got 6 goals this season in all competitions. I'd be really disappointed if he did. If he didn't get into double figures, oh, we'll be wondering. I'd be wondering where the rest of the goals will be coming from this season. But I've got faith in him anyway, so I think that he can definitely start to rack them up now between now and the end of the season.
He should have
Especially if he's
7,
really blowing his
really.
talent. Pardon me?
He should have 7, really. I thought that second one was a bit harsh. That it went to the Leicester player, really.
I thought so too. Yeah, I thought it was a bit harsh, but look, they've obviously drawn the line somewhere along the line, and they've seen that it was going wide, and yeah, look, it is what it is. I think from a confidence point of view, it would have been great for him to have 2 goals there. I don't think he probably even knew until after the game finished that it was an own goal, and it wasn't being chalked down to him. So I don't think it had much of an effect, but for his own confidence going into this game at the weekend, it would have been nice for him to have 2 goals under his belt. But a goal and an assist, I suppose. I suppose you do get an assist for finishing
Yeah,
off a man going into the back of the net. I think that'll do him as well.
yeah, that's true. So I don't know if I heard you speak about it on your pod. So but I don't know if the listeners have heard what you think of it. But the Man City saga. What do you think about that? Do you think, like, if it was the EFL, let's be honest, the EFL, they would punish them. They'd put them into League Two or something. They'd be like, I mean, look what happened to teams like Bury and Derby and even Birmingham City. We might not like them, but do you know what I mean? And then it feels to me like it's going to be long-winded, and in the end, they're probably just going to get a fine or something.
I don't know. Like as I say, I'm not losing any sleep over the Man City thing. I couldn't care less. I'll be really honest. I don't. It doesn't bother me. I don't care about it because at the end of the day, if they've done something wrong, they should be punished. And like there's a lot of bloviation about it over the last 4 or 5 days, but it could take up to 4 years for us to find an outcome for this. And at the end of the like at that time they could have 2 Champions League, they could have more golden statues or bronze statues or whatever metal they want to build their statues of their players outside the Etihad. And to be honest with you, it doesn't matter at that stage. In 4 years' time, if they're going saying, "Oh, we're going to take away those Champions Leagues. We're going to take away those league titles, and we're going to give you a 20 point deduction for the start of next season. Fine you 50 million. Who cares? Their fans have had their night out. Their fans have had all that celebration. They felt all that ecstasy of winning games. Their players have the statues built of them, and the club have made tons and tons and tons of money on the back of winning. So for me, I genuinely couldn't care less because it doesn't mean anything to Aston Villa Football Club what happens at Man City. And to be honest with you, it's because of the fact that it's so drawn out. I would much prefer not to know about this at all and to just have a big headline one morning saying Man City have been stripped of their 4 titles. I wanted essentially there's an old phrase I heard it before. Apologies if anybody's offended by it, but I don't want to hear about labour pains. I just want to see the baby at this stage, and I couldn't care less what they're being accused of. I just want to know what's going to happen to them. And to be honest with you, after I find out what's going to happen to them, I'm going to go back to looking at Aston Villa and going, realistically, it doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. So I think it's a needless distraction. I think a lot of people are looking at it. I think personally, if I was to put on my tinfoil hat and look at it, I would say that this is that Man City have known about this for quite a period of time. I think by them playing this shocked and surprised attitude, I think it's false. And I think that it was, I guess, no surprise that the Super League conversation came out a couple of days afterwards because they've always been angling for that side of things anyway. And yeah, as I say, look, we'll find out what's going to happen to them, or maybe we don't. Maybe they leave the Premier League between now and then anyway. If things start to get a bit too hot under the collar for them. So I don't know. As I say, genuinely, I don't really have any. I don't. It's far down my list of things to worry about or to concern myself. And so much so that I haven't even looked too much into it because it's a lot of bluster and it's only going to fill up newspaper headlines between now and, as I said, potentially 4 years time when the verdict is handed down.
Do you think the news of it and all that, do you think that would be like for Man City, the players for the game on Sunday? Do you think that would be like, would they fight? Would that be like negative to like for them? Like,
Nah,
would they
nah,
not perform as well, or do you think they're just like you? They wouldn't care.
nah. They don't care. They know that all their money is in escrow somewhere along the line. The money is not going to be an object, even if the club is hit with some sort of sanctions. It won't be this year. It won't be next year. Sunday is just another game for them. They don't care. It's not. It won't have any impact on them whatsoever. Um, they will all just be of the opinion saying, "Listen, we'll pick up our big." Like we'll deal with this when the sanctions come down, if the sanctions come down. But at the moment, they've nothing to worry about.
Yeah, true. So I'm going to ask you the last thing now for your prediction on Sunday.
I have gone with. I've been thinking about it, and I initially on a couple of Man City podcasts I went with 2-0 City, but I think Villa will score. I'm going to go 2-1 Man City. I think we'll put on a good performance. I do think we can go there, we can win or we can draw. But if you were to give me truth serum or hook me up to a lie detector, I would say my heart of hearts would be 2-1. But I would not be surprised if we come away with a plucky draw or even a plucky 1-0 win at the weekend. I would not be surprised at all. But pragmatic kind of lie detector answer would be 2-1 Man City.
I'm gonna agree with your scoreline, but I'm gonna say the opposite. I think Villa's gonna win 2-1.
Yeah, I'd be absolutely. I tell you, my plans are on Sunday. I don't usually get to go out that often recently because we've got a little one and we've got another one coming soon. But so I'm getting to go out this weekend. I'm getting to go out on Sunday, and I'm getting to go out and watch the match. And then I'm going to stay out and watch the Super Bowl afterwards. 'Cause I'm a huge NFL fan as well. So if Villa win 2-1, you can be guaranteed, that my name will probably be in the newspaper for streaking up and down the streets afterwards because I will be absolutely delighted. So I would love for Villa to win 2-1. Absolutely love it.
I just have a feeling. I just think like we're we're finally gonna break that curse because it's been a long time since we beat them at their ground, and I think if anyone can do it, it's Unai, and I think the bounce back from the Leicester defeat
Yeah,
will be on Sunday, I think.
yeah, yeah, and hopefully so. Hopefully that is the case.
Because Unai hasn't lost two in a row either, if you think about it.
No,
Since he
well, no, yeah, he hasn't lost two in a row. Wait a minute, did he lose less? Did he lose Liverpool and Stevenage? Well, not last two in a row in the league anyway. So
yeah, that's what I meant in the league, yeah.
yeah,
Do we have to talk about Stevenage?
no, we never have to talk about Stevenage. Never have to talk about Stevenage.
Well, that's good then. Well, thank you for coming on, and
No bother.
it was good to chat with you, and because Ivan let me down. Now Ivan couldn't come on; he had some plans, so, and then my Matty as well. He couldn't come on either, so
It's all good,
I
man.
thought, why not get a special guest host who likes speaking about Villa, and you're the perfect guy, I think.
I never shut up. That's that's good.
Ex-
Thanks, William, for asking me to come on. And I know we've been trying to link this up for a couple of weekends now, but yeah. So I'm glad that we finally got to chat, and yeah, as I said, thank you very much.
Thank you, and don't be offended if I ask you again.
You won't be at all.
And everyone finishes their podcast with the same thing, and you know what them three letters are, so I'll let you say it.
All right, everybody. Thanks, William, for listening. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Neil, and thank you for listening.